action. It's all here with late model stock car racing from Cayuga Speedway and the McKerlie Millen Classic 200. This is the 1995 CASCAR Super Series for the Castrol Cup on TSN. Brought to you in part by Mopar Performance Parts, your first choice. Castrol, manufacturers of GTX. GM Goodwrench Service Plus and AC Delco. STP and Prestone. And Dynamax Performance Exhausts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to round number 2 of the CASCAR Super Series for late model stock cars, the McKerlie Millen Classic 200. I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Craig Hill, and Craig, we've got a tremendous field of cars and drivers ready to go 200 laps on what is truly one of the top ovals in this country.
Well, Pat, it's sure the crown jewel of racetracks here in southern Ontario. And, you know, there's been some great races here in the past and some great race drivers. In particular, people that have gone on to NASCAR stardom and everything else. And, you know, today is no exception. We had 47 cars trying to qualify for 34 spots in this field. And they're lined up ready for the green here behind us. Going to be a great day of racing.
Well, if the first race at Delaware Speedway Park at our opening round is any indication, we're in for a tremendous season. Intense competition, close racing, and as we saw at times, too close. A lot of caution flags at Delaware Speedway. They expect a faster and cleaner run here at Cayuga Speedway here today.
Well, one driver that came prepared for a faster run today was Duke Sawchuk in the Key Tours Pontiac Grand Prix. The Duker set the tone during hot laps with a blistering 22.221 lap to capture the pole position.
The team has worked very hard to master their V8-powered Pontiac. They were second fastest at our last race. Here's Todd Lewis with Duke.
Thanks, guys. I'm with the pole sitter for today's race, Duke Sawchuk. Duke, it's good to be up front. Is it necessary to win here?
Well, I don't think it's necessary. It's a nice spot to start with the running straight up like this. Just makes our pit strategy a little bit different. We got to come in a little bit earlier than we would like to, but we're going to get in, get out quick, and get back up front.
There you are. It's important to be up front, but it's not necessary to win.
So Duke Sawchuk is the first of our Mopar Fast 4, and he'll start on the front row alongside Paul Mathers in the Motion Lincoln Mercury Thunderbird.
It was just the opposite at our last race with Mathers on the pole. And third is Earl de Pro Ross in another T-Bird. And completing our Mopar Fast 4 is 94 rookie Peter Gibbons in the NTN Bearings Monte Carlo.
And there's Junior Regan putting on the gloves in the 27 Avenger. And Mike Hyrniuk in the STP Pontiac gets some last-minute encouragement.
And that's Kelly Williams in another Pontiac. We'll be doing a profile on Kelly at our next race in Quebec.
34 cars will start the McKerlie Millen Classic 200 on this 5/8 mile banked oval. A little overcast, but no threat of rain in the forecast, Pat.
Well, that'll make for cooler track temperatures as we look at the Midas starting grid. There you see Sawchuk and Mathers up front. Al Turner and Sean Dupuis, a couple of Monte Carlos back there in the third row. Billy Rouse Jr. back in the fifth row. We look at Ron Beauchamp Jr. there in one of the Dodge Avengers. DJ Kennington, one of the great young stars. Number 17 will start 17th on the grid. Robin Buck out of road racing, starting a little bit further back here at Cayuga than he would like. And then back in that 16th row, Sean Mangin in one of the Pontiac Grand Prix. And Steve Jalibian in the 44 car instead of co-driver Jack Monahan.
And there's Mark Dilley warming up his tires in the Sega Monte Carlo. They do that to bring the tires up the heat path so they'll stick a little better in the corners, particularly on the opening lap.
Peter Gibbons' crew looking on as their driver circulates. There's Don Damaris with the green flag in hand as he looks over this field as they work their way around behind the pace car. There you see Mathers, number 10, sitting up on the outside. Sawchuk down on the inside as the pace car is pulled off. The driver's out of the fourth turn across the stripe, and they'll get the green flag from Don Damaris. And we're racing in the McKerlie Millen Classic 200. The Prestone Sony Wallcam giving us this great shot as the field runs down the back chute for the first time. Side by side for the lead. Sawchuk, number 74, down on the low groove. Mathers, number 10, up to the high side as we've got a lot of side-by-side racing here early. Oh, there you saw 92 going a little bit sideways, but now Sawchuk will take the lead. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, number 10, Mather slides into the number 2 spot, and we ride on board with the number 3 car there of Dan Shirtliff right in the middle of that lead battle. 74, Sawchuk is your leader, followed by number 10, Mathers.
Well, that's Mark Dilley in 13th with Beauchamp pushing him. the team's been having some problems, Pat, with the right setup in that Monte Carlo this year, and you can see him doing a lot of overcorrecting.
Mark really fighting the steering wheel to keep that car on the racetrack. There's the battle for third, number 92, the veteran Earl Ross, being pressured now by the 16 of Al Turner. There you see the first two cars have opened up a little bit of a gap, and then we've got a war going on for that third place position. Earl Ross in the Ford Thunderbird, holding off the 16 of Al Turner. Number 3, Dan Shirtliff in the Goodrich Monte Carlo runs in the 5th place spot. Then it is NTN Bearings driver Peter Gibbons in 6th. And now we've got a problem. 95, Robin Buck, 27, Junior Regan have spun coming out of turn 4. Caution flags out on the speedway. There is 44, Steve Jalebian. He's also involved in, 08, Sean McGlynn also involved. So 4 cars running into problems here early. There's Jalebian as he has brought it out of pit road. They're checking over his race car.
Well, that could leave a little bit of a mess on the outside of turn 4, Pat. You know, that fiberglass is very, very sharp, and some of these cars could pick it up and cut down tires.
Green flag back out here at Cayuga Speedway as Duke Sawchuk and number 10, Paul Mathers, goes side by side, and now Sawchuk down at the bottom of the racetrack just seems to get the jump off of that turn and pulls about 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of Mathers.
Well, that's a little bit of experience, I think, on Duke Sawchuk's part more than anything else. He just got on the throttle a little earlier and drove away from him, Pat.
We ride on board with Kerry Micks, who has worked his way up into the 6th place position, getting around Al Turner. Turner had been running in 4th. He's back in 7th now, as Micks is all over Sean Dupuis. Dupuis in the Delco Batteries car. There is your race leader, 74, Duke Sawchuk, as he has pulled several car lengths ahead of the number 10 car.
And there's the Midas leaderboard with Sawchuk ahead of Mathers, Ross, Shirtliff, and Dupuis. Then it's Micks, Gibbons, Bill Rouse Jr., Neil Fair, and a slowing Al Turner.
Well, Turner must be having some kind of a problem with his Monte Carlo. He's about to drop out of the top 10 as we ride on board with Kerry Micks, currently shown in the 6th place position. He is all over Sean Dupuis. There goes Micks up on the outside of Dan Shirtliff, and Dupuis is all over the 92 car of Earl Ross. This is a great 4-way fight going on for the 3rd place position.
Watch Dupuis here, Pat. See how he pinches Ross down in the corner so he can't accelerate out? That's smart driving.
Big groove here at Cayuga Speedway as they run down the back straightaway. There's number 9, Peter Gibbons. He makes it a 5-way fight for this 3rd place position, and Billy Rouse Jr. No, there goes Micks into the back of Dupuis. He gets it sideways. Billy Rouse Jr. loops it around. Al Turner also gets tapped there by Rouse. 55, Neil Fair is also involved, and I believe the 85 car there of Dave Jacobs also involved in that multi-car crash here in turn 4.
Well, let's go back on board for the Mopar replay from Kerry Micks' viewpoint, and it looks like there was just nowhere to go after Micks hit Sean, and what a great recovery by Dupuis.
There you saw the sliding Billy Rouse from our Sony camera. Now number 16, Al Turner, has brought it on a pit road. They'll try to repair some of the damage to that car. 74, Duke Sawchuk is in. That'll reshuffle the order with Gibbons, Mathers, Dilly, Micks, Jakes, and Lapsevich rounding out our top 6.
And we'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome back to Cayuga Speedway as we continue with the McKerlie Millen Classic 200. Peter Gibbons of the NTN Bearings Monte Carlo leads Paul Mathers, and there is Kerry Micks. Oh, he just taps Mark Dilly as these two drivers fight for that 3rd place position.
Well, it looks like the racetrack has come back to Dilly. His bad handling has disappeared, but Kerry Micks seems to be trying to put a little bit of alignment of his own on the back of his car there, Pat.
Off the turn, it is the number 9, NTN Bearings Monte Carlo of Peter Gibbons leading that 4th Thunderbird of Paul Mathers. And then, as you said, that battle there for 3rd. Now we go on board with Brad Jakes, who runs in the 5th place position. That is yet another 4th Thunderbird belonging to Jim Lapsevich. He runs in the 6th place position as they run single file in tight formation. And now on the inside, Mathers pulls up alongside of Peter Gibbons, and he will take the lead. Gibbons must be having some kind of a problem.
Well, Peter got real loose coming off of turn 2 there, Pat, and it looks like he might have cut a tire down, but, you know, he's got to hang on out there as long as he can because he doesn't want to go a lap down.
That'll reshuffle the running order. Mathers in the number 10 Thunderbird leading the 64 Sega Monte Carlo. of Mark Dilley. Then it's the minus Monte Carlo of Kerry Micks, followed by 35, Brad Jakes and the Dodge Avenger, and then the 25 Thunderbird of Jim Lapcevich. Now we look a little bit further back. This is the battle for 7th, number 97. That is Rob Neely going side by side with the number 3 car of Dan Shirtliff, as Shirtliff makes the pass on the number 9 car there of Peter Gibbons. Oh, spin! Number 90, J.P. Corso, has looped his car around. The caution flags are out here at Cayuga one more time.
Well, there's the opportunity Peter Gibbons was waiting for out there, Pat, and it is the right rear tire. The crew's working hard to get it changed.
And they're also doing some work to the right front of the car. There you can see trying to pull the fiberglass away from the tire. Now they're still trying to get that right rear tire on the cars. We've got more activity on pit road. There is Dilly 64 is in. Kelly Williams in and also heading back out.
Well, there's Peter Gibbons' tire, and as we're talking about it, Pat, you can see by the size of the hole, it doesn't take much to cut a tire down, and these tires are pretty tough.
Green flags back out here at Cayuga as number 02, Kerry Micks, will grab the lead, pulling away from 25. Jim Lapcevich in that Tim Hortons Ford Thunderbird, but here comes Lapcevich up on that high groove. He's able to run right beside Micks, and now off of turn 4, they're still battling for the lead. We go a little bit further back in the field. The 60 car, one of the Dodge Avengers in the field there of Ron Beauchamp Jr. as they battle all the way through the field is a good one. There's Beauchamp in that white 60 car, and right behind him on the racetrack is number 3, Dan Shirtliff. And now we ride on board with Shirtliff, who is all over Beauchamp in that 60 car for the 5th place position. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, there's Peter Gibbons as he continues to charge to the front. The number 31 car there is Kelly Williams, followed by the 10 of Mathers, who is one of our early leaders, and then 64, Mark Dilley in the Sega Monte Carlo. Up front, Kerry Micks in the 02 continues to lead 25. Lapcevich, oh, and a big spin here. The 90 car, J.P. Corso, 92 Earl Ross, and 99 Scott Watkins. Those 3 drivers all involved. Here comes Lapcevich pulling up. Oh, Lapcevich runs right into Watkins.
And poor Jimmy had nowhere to go and has now lost several places after dueling for the lead with Micks. So while we have this yellow, let's join Pat with our Dynamax timeout.
Cayuga Speedway is what is known as a driver's racetrack, and for good reason. Because over the years, this oval has been the starting ground of many of the top NASCAR Winston Cup stars. Drivers like Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, Darrell Waltrip, and the late Alan Kowicki. In 1985, when some of these drivers were asked, what does it take to get around this demanding 5/8 of a mile oval? Here's what they had to say.
So I'm going to be running hard from the start. We're planning on a pit stop somewhere soon after 100 laps. Hopefully our pit crew can get me out in front or close to the front, and from there it's going to be a dogfight to get to the lead, because, you know, I'd like to be leading by lap 130 or 40, because I feel if you can get the lead at that point, you know, if your car's working well, like we feel that we have our car working, that nobody's going to get around you.
Getting around another driver here at Cayuga Speedway. It was the challenge then, and still is now here at the McKerlie Millen Classic 200.
Well, 10 years has sure changed the way those guys look, but something that hasn't changed is Cayuga Speedway. And while we were away, we had another yellow, and Kerry Micks is now in for his mandatory pit stop. Number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. also in. Let's have a look at the Mopar replay and see what happened. 27, Junior Regan gets into Billy Rouse. Peter Gibbons gets pinched off. He drops down to the inside, but then runs right into the back of Sean Dupuis, looping him around. Beauchamp gets around it, but then several other drivers get into it. Brad Jakes in the 35 car, 95 Robin Buck, and 25 Jim Lapcevich. Here's Dilly's take on the crash as Jake sends him into a 360, and it's like, hey, what happened? Several drivers doing a nice job of avoiding that big pileup, including the 30 car there, Randy Slack. And now we go back to green flag racing. Number 3, Dan Shirtliff, your race leader. 10, Mathers running in the 2nd place position. In the 4 Thunderbird 75, Mike Herniak runs in 3rd. Our Prestone update showing us all the cars that are still currently running on the lead lap. And look at Mathers really working hard to try to get around Dan Shirtliff. Well, the starter's got a black flag in his hand, Pat, and I think it's for Peter Gibbons for causing that last yellow, and that's a tough blow for the Stouffville native after coming up through the pack after a flat tire.
Well, a driver who's come up through the pack is 75 Mike Hyrniuk, and Todd Lewis is with his crew chief.
Mike Herniak started 23rd. He's moved up to 3rd. How's he doing it?
Doing well. We're just playing our game plan, taking it easy, letting the people knock themselves out.
Can he stay up at the front?
Oh, yeah, we got the power to stay there. We're going to win this one.
Well, full marks to the entire SDP crew. They've made this car so much better for Mike Hyrniuk. That's allowed him to run up to the front. Herniak works the wheel of that car, the Sony camera giving us that great shot of the driver in action. The number 3 car of Dan Shirtliff continues to lead. The number 10 of Paul Mathers, then it is Herniak still holding on to 3rd, but he is coming under pressure now from the number 7 car of Sean Dupuis, who runs in the 4th place spot, and that is your lead quartet. Kerry Micks in the 02 runs 10th right behind. Kelly Williams, 31, started 26, is up to 11. Oh, big pileup. The 90 car, J.P. Corsel, that's the 3rd time he's been involved in an incident. And I believe the other cars in there as well. Dilly, 64, 27. Junior Regan back into the pits. He was also involved in that crash, along with the number 2 car of Doug Stewart. They're going to work on the number 27 Dodge Avenger.
And that's Tim Ellis, Dan Shirtliff's crew chief, on the radio with Dan as they come back to the green flag.
Race leader Dan Shirtliff up to the outside, down to the bottom of the racetrack. Peter Gibbons trying to fight back onto the lead lap after being assessed that black flag penalty.
And there's the Midas standings with Shirtliff leading, followed by Mathers, Herniak, Dupuis, Randy Slack, and Rob Neely in the Mac Tools Monte Carlo.
92, Earl Ross running on the racetrack in the point position, but he is not the leader. Neither is Gibbons, number 9. They're just ahead of the race leader, Dan Shirtliff, and we ride on board with the number 3, Goodwrench Monte Carlo. Shirtliff, your leader, and Gibbons managing to scratch and claw his way back onto the lead lap. He'll hope for a caution to try to catch up to the cars that are, in fact, running on the lead lap. The crews anxiously watching what has been a very close and competitive and crash-filled run here at Cayuga Speedway. Shirtliff, number 3, your leader. Gibbons, as we said, just managing to stay on the lead lap. Now here is Herniak in the 75 car, trapped to the bottom of the racetrack. Sean Dupuis up to the outside will take over that 3rd place position. So it is Shirtliff, number 3, your leader. 10 Mathers in the Thunderbird running 2nd. This is the battle for 3rd between Sean Dupuis in the number 7 car and 75 Mike Hyrniuk in the SDP Pontiac Grand Prix. 92 Earl Ross right in the thick of it, but again he is not running for position.
And we have yet another yellow, so we'll be back with more from Cayuga and the CASCAR Super Series right after this.
Welcome back to the McKerlie Millen Classic 200 from Cayuga Speedway. I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Craig Hill and Todd Lewis, and we're going racing again after our 10th yellow, Craig.
Yes, the more yellows, the more bits and pieces of cars are left on the track, and therefore the more cut-down tires, Pat. It's endless.
Lead battle into turn 1. Dan Shirtliff aboard car number 3, leading the 10 of Paul Mathers. Sean Dupuis in car number 7 still running back in that 3rd place position. Mike Hyrniuk, 75, is in 4th, 97. Rob Neely showing in 5th, and oh, Mathers into the back of Shirtliff, loops him around into turn 4. Shirtliff, the leader, got tapped by Mathers, and I believe that may bring out yet another caution, and it does. Mathers got right into the back of Shirtliff.
Well, let's take a look at how it feels to be knocked off the track from Dan Shirtliff's onboard camera with this Mopar replay. And, you know, poor old Dan, he's just helpless. The only thing he's trying to do is keep his car running. He can only ride it out.
Another driver with problems, 35, Brad Jakes, as he loses the tire jack. He's already lost most of the bodywork on that car, and CASCAR race director Louis Bennett just waves him out.
Well, Shirtliff's going again, and Mathers has been pulled in for a stop and go, and here's Todd with Dan's crew chief.
I think we can get back up there. Dan says the car feels real good. This GM Goodwrench Service Plus team has worked awful hard this weekend to be where we are. And not right now, but we'll get back up there.
Up there now is Sean Dupuis, the number 7 Monte Carlo. Sean was the Eastern Series champion last year after consistent top 3 finishes.
But he's got an aggressive SDP Pontiac behind him, driven by Mike Hyrniuk, as they look for the green flag, and Gibbons has unlapped himself and is 4th behind the 97.
Sean Dupuis getting away to a quick start. He really got the jump on the field. As we go back to green, there is Mathers, number 10, completing his stop and go. He will trail the field as the cars work their way off the end of the back chute. Car number 31, Kelly Williams, the lone female driver in the field as we go on board now with Kelly Williams. In her second year in the CASCAR Super Series, she has really improved her driving in 1995 as she's worked her way into the top 10 here after qualifying 26th on the grid. Race leader Sean Dupuis in the Monte Carlo. Now the battle for second. Peter Gibbons down to the low side of the racetrack, puts a couple of wheels off the track as he battles with Mike Hyrniuk, and Gibbons will take over the second place position. Herniak in the STP Pontiac runs third. The NTN Bearings crew looking at their driver. Oh, and a spin as 35. Brad Jakes gets into it with the 95 car of Robin Buck. There's the DJ Kennington crew checking out this little two-car incident, but the caution flags are back out again here at Cayuga.
And Robin Buck's rookie learning curve continues to expand, and we'll be back with the concluding laps of the McKerlie Millen Classic right after this.
Welcome back to Cayuga Speedway and the CASCAR Super Series for the Castrol Cup. Peter Gibbons of the NTN Bearings number 9 Monte Carlo has made a phenomenal recovery, coming back from a 2-lap deficit to challenge Sean Dupuis for the lead. Dupuis in the GM Performance Parts Delco Batteries Monte Carlo with Dan Shirtliff and Kerry Micks fighting it out with Mike Hyrniuk of the STP Pontiac for the third place position. And as we ride on board with Dan Shirtliff, we see just how close this race for third is. Shirtliff right up alongside of Kerry Micks as Shirtliff rides the high groove. Now he'll tuck in behind that Midas Monte Carlo and stay in the 5th place position. This is the lead battle. The number 7 car of Sean Dupuis. Peter Gibbons in that number 9 NTN Bearings Monte Carlo. The two drivers just inches apart as they hit the start-finish stripe and take the white flag from Don Damaris. Less than a lap to go. Herniak holding on to third. Mix is fourth. Shirtliff runs fifth. Oh, and Gibbons a couple of wheels off the racetrack as they work the back chute here at Cayuga for the final time. Gibbons, desperation, breaking in at turn 3, right on the bumper of Dupuis. Checkered flag out. Here's the run to the stripe. Gibbons looks on the inside. Can't do it. Dupuis will win it. Gibbons finishes second. Herniak got up there for third. Mix will be fourth.
And there are the Midas final standings, and my hat's off to Peter Gibbons for overcoming that 2-lap penalty. And an equally great race for Kelly Williams. That's got to be her best CASCAR finish. Here's Pat with the winner.
Sean, and a tremendous drive out there. On that last lap, what was going through your mind with Peter right on your bumper?
Oh, Peter was pressing me hard. I don't know if I could have held on to it any longer, but he did me no wrong. He gave me the lane and everything, and I'm really happy for that. And I'd just like to thank my crew and Delco Batteries and GM Performance Parts, Snap-on. This is my first win, and it's great.
Peter, it was a long way to travel, but you made it to a strong second-place finish.
Yeah, the NTN car run really good, and we just got a little bad luck with a flat right at the beginning, and then we got penalized a couple laps down for rough driving, and got back on the lead lap, and was up there in second, and I figured I better behave myself and ride around here in second unless there was a hole, and there just wasn't.
Peter Gibbons overcoming a lot of obstacles for a strong second-place finish.
And there's the Eastern Championship point standings. Kerry Micks retains the lead. But look at Sean Dupuis, only 26 points away. And here's Todd.
Mike, you had some car trouble out there and a lot of bumping and grinding. You made a strong third-place finish, though.
Well, the last couple laps were a lot of fun. This team works really hard, and they're the ones that did it for us. We just stuck with it all day. On the restarts, I had a flat spot in the carburetor, and all the guys would pile up behind me there, and she'd start going again, but it worked out. Kerry drove me hard, and it was a good, clean run. I'm happy.
Mike Hyrniuk from 23rd to 3rd in the STP car.
An impressive run for Sean Dupuis as he takes his first win of the year, and just the reverse of how they finished here at Cayuga a year ago, Craig.
Oh, absolutely. And all three racers put on a very smart race, Pat. A couple of them got a couple of laps behind and made a big comeback, and what a finish it was. But I'm glad to see Mike Hyrniuk in the STP car up in there. And, of course, Sean Dupuis, he's been a runner for the last 2 years. He deserves to win one. Peter Gibbons did a great job. My congratulations to all three drivers.
Kerry Micks 4th and Dan Shirtliff 5th. That'll wrap it up here from Cayuga Speedway.
We'll see you next from La Belle Provence as we'll run at the St. Eustache Autodrome next.
This CASCAR Super Series event was brought to you in part by Mopar Performance Parts, your first choice. Castrol, manufacturers of GTX. GM Goodwrench Service Plus and AC Delco. STP and Prestone. And Dynamax Performance Exhaust. This event was sanctioned by CASCAR, Canadian Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.